Alright then, I'll do my best to Greentext, but I'll set it up a little first. I've been browsing for a few years. I've always been a huge commando and loved out. The main reason I come to X are the spooky stories. On all three boards, those are always my favorite. Always wanted to see something spooky. Now, I've grown up in Florida. I've been out hunting in the middle of nowhere, Central Florida since I was 6. There's been some weird shit that's happened on our property before, but nothing too weird. A human/beast scream that isn't a rabbit or coyote or fox or like anything else we've heard is the most popular spooky shit on the property. Now, I've never heard this one, but it's enough to get hardened hunters to leave stands and fuck off. Now, the property to the south has a good sized state park on the other side of a large river, about a half-mile to the south. To the east, there's about a country road about a mile and then another half-mile to any neighbors. To the north, it's about 3 miles to a trailer park. Now, for the lamest fucking spooky story ever. It made me shit bricks though. Be me, about a year ago. Hunting hogs in the evening. Standing in a stand on the southern bottom half of the property. Swamp in the front and left. Fenced in food plot the right. Behind me is the path in. In the stand, I have my trusty Browning A-Bolt in 243 with me. That I've used since I was 10. Dusk. Trucks parked about half a mile away. Crickets, birds, normal shit in the evening air. Start hearing Mexican music way off in the distance. Now, sound travels pretty good in the woods. I just assume it's some Mexicans blasting music by the side of the road with a flat or something. Fuck it. It's faint and far away. Who gives a shit? Starts to get closer. Check electronic sign in for the property. No one. Fuck it. They probably forgot to sign in and will do it when they get to the camper. We use a lodge. Sounds like they passed the entrance to the lodge. Starts getting closer to me. Occurs to me that no one who has access to the property would listen to music like that. Fuck. Text my dad if anyone's supposed to be out tonight. Text my brother to see if it's one of his friends. Nope to both. Pig related is a different stand on the property to give you an idea of how dense the Florida brush can be. Points to whoever finds the little deer in the photo first. I forgot to mention, the music would periodically stop and then start again. Closer. Sound starts getting closer and eventually sounds like it's by my truck. Well, they know I'm out here now. Starts going up and down the road. Just the same song. Now sounding like it's just pacing back and forth in the area by my truck. Starts being loud enough that I could definitely make out that it's some sort of Hispanic music. I remember thinking, fuck, I'm gonna get murdered by the cartel or some shit. Music stops again. A short break. Sounds like it's starting to come down the path towards me. Slowly gets louder. At this point, I'm tactically shitting bricks and hoping there's no more than 4 guys because that's how much ammo I have in my rifle. Tried recording this sound a few times, as now it's loud enough to hear quite well. Nothing on the recordings. Finally, sounds like it's gonna come down the path. Hear it coming towards me. I'm ready to 360 no-scope this guy. Nothing coming down path. Sounds like it's just out of view. Stops again. This moment was so fucking tense. I had no idea why I couldn't see what it was. Why I couldn't record this sound. I had no idea who was fucking with me. Or why they would be tracking me up this trail. Sound starts again, but this time, it's not fucking around. It's loud enough that it sounds like it's coming from the tree line around me, fucking circling at pretty fast speed. Try to record it one last time. I'm pretty fucking spooked at this point. If it was a guy, he'd have to be running circles around the swamp and hop a fence and cross a small clearing behind where the path is, all without making noise or being seen at a record pace. If it was a drone or something, it would have to dodge all the Florida brush, and I didn't hear any noise from motors. No car could fit back there. Just me and the fucking music, playing louder than ever. It's getting dark at this point, and this bullshit has been going on for the better part of an hour, with it getting close to me for the past 15 minutes. Music finally takes another stop. Scramble at a stand, bolt action, with a 3.9 shitty scope at the low ready, tactical erection, standard commando stuff. As I'm leaving, I fucking hear it one last time, fucking following me back. Fuck off to the truck and fuck off to camper where I spend the rest of the night with my AK, drinking, waiting for a sombreroed skinwalker to emerge. And that was it. I mentioned it to the guys who are members to the property that there could have been a poacher, and the guys who had trail cameras in the area checked and found nothing that day. The 2 on the main road didn't get anything besides me coming and going. Like 2 weeks later, for shits and giggles, I checked my recordings. Everyone had nothing on it besides the sounds of bugs, except for one in the middle, which in the background you can hear the music. I still get noped out every time I listen to it. I've been back plenty of times since and never had anything else like that happen to me. I'd post it too, but I don't know how Volcaroo works. Still no explanation, but creepy to me as fuck. Haven't seen any similar experiences, so I guess mine's unique. It's a little ridiculous. Because the structure of the property where it opens up, absolutely gorgeous with open fields, interspersed with dense swamp, and Florida jungle. I went hiking with a friend in Central Florida this one time and had a surreal experience that made this dude not ever want to hike with me again. Be me, 25, meet up with outdoor bro. Call him Brad. Brad's one of those minimalist kind of guys. Brings an alpaca blanket, some beers, weed, first aid, small knife, the usual. I have kukuri, hammock, water blader, canteen, also first aid, some beers, weed, and a little more kit that's irrelevant. Brad has some years on me, but we vibe pretty well. He's a free spirit, and I'm sort of a abomination human. People like Brad are cool in my opinion. Most of the time, I hike alone on purpose. Never any spoops, except one time where I crossed paths with a pig. This time, we're somewhere southeast of Orlando. Terrain is mixed. Inside tree line is solid ground with stable footing. Open ground is grass/bog. Tree grow in patches, so have to cross bog to get the next tree line. Not too bad in my opinion. I've had some worse times in similar environments. No CMs fucking everywhere. Don the mosquito nets. Takes half hour to cross maybe 20 yards. Go to treeline with Brad and decide to get to the center and set up a temporary camp and chill out. We get to the center and drop our packs to begin a good work. Some guy yells at us, "Hey!" Power spin towards the voice. Can't see shit other than bush and oaks. Brad speaks out in a I don't give a fuck tone. Who's there? Brad's a big dude like 6'7", plays basketball. Works as one of those big nurses in the hospitals that does all the heavy lifting. Real gentle soul though. Engage hypervigilance from abusive upbringing. Listen to every noise and autistically scan with peripheral vision. Absolutely still. Voice responds, "Just wanted to let you guys know, I'm out here too." What a nice guy. Brad invites him over. "Nah, that's alright brother. I've got a nice setup over here. Wanna come check it out?" By this point I'm sketched. People do not get the drop on me in the woods. I avoid them all the time. I figured this guy was living out here and we pissed him off. I look at Brad. Fuck it, let's go. Go with Brad into the brush. Walk through thicket of palmetto, small oaks, weird vines, and crowded pines. Make it to the clearing. Hey! All the debris in a 10-foot diameter is gone. Just bare ground. Dude in a coat with a big hat is sitting on the other side of cleared ground. Brad says, "What the fuck?" Heart is pounding. Feel evil or fear. Can't rationalize this dude just sitting out here with no camp. He's just staring at the ground, the edge of the hat blocking his face. He looks up and sorta stretches, like he stretched as anyone else could, but he didn't stand up while doing so. And we got the whole view of the dude's body. It's covered in paint or something like it. His entire face was oily/shiny black, and there was white and red paint all over him in designs. He was wearing this really long coat that was made of jute or burlap, something cheap, and it was gross. His eyes were so alive, like he was absolutely thrilled we were there, like in between the both of us in excitement. Raises gourd in our direction. There's a cork on it, and it has white designs painted on it. "You guys want some juice?" No thanks guy. His face doesn't change. "How about this juice?" He holds up another gourd in his other hand. Ask him what kind of juice it is. "Magic juice." Oh, okay. .png. Brad asks him where he got all the gourds from. I look up, realize my awareness is shit. Gourds hanging in all the tree and shrubs. Some are birdhouses, some have corks, others are broken, some rotting. All have white painted designs on them. I am become nope.rar. I'm not gonna green text this anymore. This guy's looking at us and holding two gourds up. We both decline and ask him what's up. If he's alright or injured, he keeps asking us if we want some juice and we keep declining, trying to figure if we should, and set up elsewhere, or head back to the cars and call somebody. And he freaks out, throwing like a temper tantrum, slamming one of the gourds into the ground where it just indented into the sand. He started to rock his shoulders where he sat. And I noticed he had ropes wrapping around him and his coat real tight, and behind him was all debris that had been on the ground piled in a massive mound. And he was sitting right in front, almost in it. I asked him if he was stuck and he started crying and waving his head back and forth, asking us why we didn't want any juice in his dejected voice. I asked, "Are you alright?" And he said he wanted his gourd back and that he couldn't reach it. Brad asked why he couldn't reach it, and the man made a high-pitched squeal, lowering his head and sobbing, like ugly sobbing. Brad said fuck it again that day. picked up the gourd and went to the man. Bad decision on Brad's part. When Brad got close enough to the dude and said, "There's your gourd," the dude grabbed Brad's arm and started pulling on him, screaming, "Drink it! Come on, drink it!" He couldn't pull Brad, but Brad was having a hard time getting away and yelled the guy was tied to something and didn't want to hurt him. At no point in this moment was my giant friend in danger, I think, but I thought opposite at the time. So I run up, fucking kicking this guy in the chest, and he's solid as a rock. He lets go of Brad and grabs my legs, knocking me on my back. I remember falling back in slow-mo, watching his face absolutely light up, with the biggest, whitest smile I'd ever seen, and eyes to match. I got a good look at his body paint. It was these weird white lines swirling and in curves, these red semi and quarter circles. The white paint was similar to what was on the gourds. He pulls my ass right up against whatever thing he's sitting on and pins my thighs to it with his legs. Dude smelled like ass. He was looking at me with a fever or something. It bothered me, and he had me. I thought Brad had died, and I was about to get fucked. Crack. Brad beamed this dude in the head with a full gourd, pulled me away, and then fell over. He kept saying he just had to calm down and breathe, over and over. I was trying to help him chill out while also gathering myself, and Gourd Bro starts fucking yelling at us about the goddamn juice again. Like he's so goddamn frustrated about it, and whatever the fuck he's tied to. Like he keeps trying to get up, but he's not going anywhere, stomping his feet and slapping his legs. Absolute toddler fit. I get up and go around and jump back to where he tried to grab me. I got behind him, and the pile, and the rope was coming out of the pile. I started moving stuff out of the way, and the dude just started roaring like the devil. "Get away from here!" Scared my bowels empty right there, not gonna lie. I brushed enough to see a smooth black surface with those red broken circles on it. I saw the ropes coming out of the bottom of it as well, going up into the trees where the gourds were growing / hanging, and some more that went off under the surrounding debris when Brad yelled, "What the fuck is that?" pointing to some kind of vines approaching at a slow, steady, straightforward path towards the center of the clearing. I had too much at that point, and I think Brad agreed, because we both booked it to the sound of the guy wailing for us to come back. With the last thing I heard him yelling was, "Please!" in the loud, roaring voice from before. We ran, crawled, scooted, scudded, squatted, and moved in any manner necessary to get away from the brush, which was thicker than I remember it being. There were also gourds everywhere, but not with the white paint, but with the black and red paint. Those are what kept us moving so fast. It took way too long to get back to our gear, but it was there just as we left it. Didn't hear the man anymore. Brad later said he liked hanging out with me, but that ever since he met me, weird shit would happen too often in his life. I still don't know what he meant by that, because that was the penultimate strangest thing that has ever happened to me, and nothing like that has ever happened again. People do say that to me a lot though. I've always been called strange, and even my parents see me in a different light to my siblings. I don't know what any of this is. I just accept it as it comes. Be me, age 12. Best friend Tyler, also 12. Tyler's mom owned a horse farm. We lived in Central Florida, a lot of horses everywhere. Neither of us are into farm work or horses, interested in the concept of urbex. Whenever we could find something cool, Tyler's mom offers to take us to work with her one day. Why not? Go and fuck around, exploring nearby woods. Meet migrant worker named Carlos at the barn. He told us jokes about dicks and we googled like idiots. Carlos was a cool fucking dude. Carlos mentioned abandoned building towards the edge of the woods towards the back of the property. Oh shit fella.exe. Tyler and I head out there, look around, try really hard to be scared. Tyler mumbles something about a horse dying here and it being haunted. Yeah, I bet dude. The face with no spoops. Disappointed, we head back. Maybe Carlos will tell us more dick jokes. Go back to the main barn. No sign of Carlos. We go out to the edge of the pasture, sit on the fence, start bullshitting and petting a horse. Her name was Amsterdam. She was cool as fuck, sitting and talking while absent-mindedly staring at the barn. Interjection. Tyler was like a brother to me. Every time I was a pussy about something, he would point out all the logical and reasonable problems with why I was upset / afraid. Tyler was as ballsy as a 12-year-old could be at the time. With that being said, the barn door is open. Really tall, 15 to 20 feet. 2 cars could easily drive side by side through. Sitting there, petting Amsterdam, and just stop conversation. See the shadow of a 6-foot tall person. No distinguishable features, just black. Jesus fucking Christ.smw. It speeds from one side of the door to the other. It didn't have any fucking feet. The shit just floated from one side to the other. It had depth, like how you would recognize a person is walking right in front of a door. It was really thick, dark shadow. I sat there, staring, jaw agape, not saying anything. Tyler's respect meant a lot to me, so I really didn't want to overreact. Look over at Tyler to think of some way to subtly segue into that. Tyler's reaction was something like, "What the fuck was that shit? Did you see that?" Panic ensues. We sit there, and after described to me what he saw, maybe 2 different pairs of eyes could form somewhat of a coherent explanation to what I saw. He describes the same exact shit. It didn't have any fucking feet. We sit there and spaz out. We try to think of all the realistic things it could be. Fucking Carlos. We laugh it off. Maybe we just didn't see his feet. We walk into the barn and go to Carlos's work area. "Carlos, you scared the shit out of us." Search for a good 5 minutes. He's not there. Well, maybe he just left. Go back to the office rooms that his mom was at the whole time. Ask if she can call/walkie-talk to Carlos. He left a few hours ago. He was on his way out when he told us about the abandoned stuff. Jesus fucking Christ, it wasn't Carlos. We lock ourselves in an empty office room and cry about it. Some odd years later, I asked Tyler about the incident. He's a super serious guy. He doesn't believe in any religion or paranormal or anything that isn't backed up by science. Asked him what he thought of it. Maybe I fabricated some of the memory over the years. He explains the same exact shit as he did when we were 12. We agree that we don't know what the fuck it was, but it wasn't Carlos and it wasn't normal. I'm not saying there's a correlation between that and whatever dumb abandoned shit was there on the other side of the farm. I'm just sharing what happened to me when I was a kid. If you guys have any interesting stories, I'm all ears. I also have 1 or 2 more if anyone's interested. I don't know if the next story is from Florida, but it's from the same dude, so I'm gonna assume it is. B17. Moved in with buddy named John. We stay up all night and play League of Legends and stuff. It's 3 a.m. I'm bored. Let's go for a drive. Get in this shitty New Yorker and just go. We live in a populated college town. Right on the outskirts of this town is total deliverance rednecks and a lot of woods. I moved since I was 12 in the first story. Drive out of the town and go down this long road. Thick, dense forest on either side of the road. Singing the radio, being obnoxious. Turn radio off to start a conversation. Right as we start talking, we see something coming on the side of the road. For your information, there are no streetlights and very few signs scattered along the road. Hasn't been much of anything but trees for a mile or so. Appears to be a person standing in the shoulder of the road. What the fuck? Slow down just a little. Probably from 60 to 40. It's a fucking woman. She's holding a cardboard box with both hands, just standing there, looking forward. Jesus Christ, how horrifying. We're still going by fast, but I recall she was wearing a brown jacket, had kinda stringy hair past her shoulders. John is a giant bitch and starts freaking out. I suggest we go see if she's okay. Maybe something's wrong. What a good idea. We drive for about 2 minutes before I can convince him to turn around. He gets over it and starts to listen to the logic. We turn around and drive back where she was. We drive for a good minute. I thought she was closer to this. Drive longer. I think we passed where she was. Drive back, using a city limit sign or something of that effect as a landmark. Drive to and from sign 2 or 3 times looking for this woman. She's fucking just gone. He stops the car and we are awestruck. He's really spooked. Just a little more than me. I get out of the car, half to fuck with him, half just out of curiosity. Get out and walk around a little. Hear noise in the woods, sounds like footsteps. Needless to say, I jumped in the car and we fucking fled. I lost a flip-flop from running so fast. We didn't bother to go back. We were both shaking like crazy once we got back to the apartment. Personal spook experiences / Greentext thread. I'll start. Florida, 2005. I'm 14. Me and my family had moved to a new house in a rural neighborhood. Place was great. All of the neighbors were good people, the kind that would give you the clothes off their back. They brought over some welcome gifts, pretty standard stuff, homemade dishes and the like. After every one of them dropped off the stuff they had, I saw one of our neighbors, an older man around 50, with graying black hair and blue eyes, pull my dad aside to talk about something. Being the nosy little shit I was, I've eavesdropped on the conversation. He started talking about how the area was nice and all that, but that stuff could get weird around here. Said there was a lot of strange noises the other neighbors heard on the space behind our backyard. Apparently, the family to the left of us had seen something crawling over their privacy fence from the backyard about a month before we moved. Said they were grilling out back when they heard the fence rattling like it was being grabbed and shaken. One of them went to investigate in the case of squatters. aka peek over the fence. Old man gives the description the neighbor gave him. Amber-colored fur, about the size of a Dalmatian, but no tail. Dad chalks it up to some weird mutt living back there. Old man says to be careful, since there have been stray dog sightings in the forest behind us. Afterward, Dad asked me to go out back to make sure there isn't anything back there now. Open the gate and see oval-shaped hole in the ground about 1 foot deep, 4 feet wide. There's a bunch of leaves and amber hair in the center, but it looks like it's been undisturbed for a while. No footprints in dirt or signs of life, like prey remains or crap. Tell Dad. He says since it looked old, we probably didn't need to worry. Been living there about a week now. There have been some weird howls in the woods behind our house. Doesn't sound like a dog or anything else I'd ever hear. Kinda like a chimp's yell and a hissing cat mixed together. Go to backyard to see if there's anything back there. See a 4-foot tall mass of fur sniffing around chicken coop. Its fur is the exact same color as what I found in the hole, just as shiny too. The air smelled like a mix of rotting fruit, raw meat, and stagnant water. I accidentally smacked my elbow on the doorframe and it perked its head up to look in my direction. Its face looks like a mix between an orangutan and a deer. It had weird droopy ears that, like if you try to turn a human's ears into a rabbit's. Let out a shrill screech that sounds kinda like a cat yowling. Climbs a tree in the corner of the backyard, hops over the fence and books it into the forest. Close back door as quietly as possible. Book it upstairs and wake my dad up. Tell him that there was a monster in the backyard. He assures me that I was just seeing things wrong because it was so dark. He says that if we fill in the little nest hole, spray the yard with something, it probably won't come back. Next day, Dad wakes me up so I can help him fill the nest hole. We finish filling in the hole. My dad hands me a spray bottle of some weed killer. He said if we masked the scent, it would be less likely to come back. Didn't really know if there's any truth to that, but okay. Absolutely doused the perimeter of the fence in weed killer. Nothing happens for like 2 days. I'm at home alone because my parents had to rush to see Uncle in the hospital. Apparently, he had a heart attack while working and was in the ECU. Before they leave, Dad gives me the key to the gun cabinet. Dad is kind of paranoid about someone possibly breaking in, because we were new to the area, and although the neighbors were nice, he didn't want to take a chance. I've only shot a few times, but Dad taught me a lot. He says that if anything happens, to get the revolver in the bottom of the cabinet. I hug him and my mom, and they leave. For most of the day, I kind of just laze about, until around 7 p.m, when I hear something scratching against wood. Go to the backyard, see the creature about a few nights ago trying to rip off the door to our chicken coop. Take a moment to soak in this thing's full appearance, to be sure it's not a dog. It's on 2 legs, and I can clearly see it has hands in front of its limbs. They were beige and leathery looking, really bony and long too. Each finger had sharp little nails that were slightly curved upwards. If I had to guess, they were about 1 inch long. Its legs were very similar to a human's but covered in fur and a lot slimmer. Its feet were about 1 foot long and arched like a person's as well, but they had the same nails as the hands but larger. I closed the door quietly, to where it doesn't notice as it's preoccupied with acquiring KFC. Sneak upstairs, unlock a gun cabinet, grab the revolver Dad told me to use, an entire 40-round box of .357 with it. Load 6 rounds into the cylinder. Rush back downstairs, open a door, just as the ape thing rips the chicken coop door off its hinges. Fire off a round and plug it in the left ass cheek. Lets out one of the most blood-curdling screams I've ever had the displeasure of hearing. Sounds like an ape and cat mixed together but at max volume and 10 feet away. It grabs one of the hens from inside the coop and chucks it at me. Poor bird barely misses hitting me and splats against the wall next to me, covering the outside lamp in blood. It lowers itself on all fours and tries to rush me. Before it gets within 5 feet of me, I fire off 3 more rounds. Miss 2 of them, but manage to peg it in the right arm. Arm starts bleeding like a faucet, and the thing looks like it's scared shitless. Hobbles away towards the tree and struggles to climb in an attempt to escape. It's smearing blood all over the tree trunk and it starts making a hooting noise. Hear rustling in the woods as I try to reload the revolver. Another one scrambles out of the woods behind the house. New ape creature is grabbing the injured one and trying to drag it away from the yard. I finish reloading the revolver and fire all 6 rounds in quick succession. Hit the already injured one in the gut and get the new one in the hand and leg. Missed the other 3 shots. Reloading again, but they got away. Doubt the first one survived, but the second one would probably be okay. I slump down after the adrenaline from the encounter wears off, breathing roughly, and my heart feels like it's gonna burst out of my chest. hear neighbor's door open. They climb the fence to see what all the commotion is. They check me over to make sure I'm okay. Neighbor's family mom stays with me for a moment until old man neighbor comes to the backyard gate, asks me to tell what happened. I explained, and he tells me all those things sound like something from a myth. He's seen his fair share of weird stuff. He asked me if we had a house phone. I tell him yes, and he asked me if I know either of my parents' phone numbers. I gave him the number to my dad's shitty Motorola flip phone. He calls my dad, and a half-true explanation of what happened. Tells my dad that there was a black bear in the backyard, and it tried to break into the coop, but that I shot at it and it ran away. Dad says he'll be on his way to come pick me up. Ask old neighbor bro why he didn't tell the whole truth. Says that not everybody is keen to believe in that sort of stuff, and he doesn't want either of us to be seen as nutty. Old guy makes me something to eat at his house while we wait for my dad. Starts telling me about how there's a lot of strange things in the world. Says those things will probably leave us alone now since they've been hurt so badly. Tells us to be careful from now on, and if something happened while my parents were away, to come to him. Hear honking outside. Dad pulls up into old guy's driveway and comes ask me if I'm okay. Tell him I'm fine and that I'd rather him stay home since I don't feel safe after that. He says okay, and we go back to our house and check on birds. All are okay except for the one the ape thing uses as a softball. Me and Dad put door back on hinge and go to sleep. Didn't see ape things again, but I could hear them yelling in the forest every once in a while. I would also find rotten fruit and small dead animals thrown over the fence all the time. I haven't seen them, but they're there for sure. And that's it for the story.